Hello, Gravitrons. I'm more gravity. Let's play chess. Okay, so today's game I finished just about 2 minutes ago, and it was a lively game, and we're about to review uh, what occurred. So here I had the black pieces, King's Pawn opening. I played the Petrov defense, and we moved into a four knights. This asks for the um, Italian four knights can occur from this. However, I chose to play bishop to b4. It's a move I'm comfortable with, and on we go. a3. So I said, let's try removing one of these developed knights that are exerting such strong central pressure. And I did so by playing bishop takes c3. Pawn takes, or d takes c3, and then black is up a bishop here. Okay, so black is now up a bishop. Black is up a pawn in material soon enough. Right, we undermine the defender, or remove the defender, some say. I removed the defender on c3, and after white recaptures, d takes c3, I decided to play knight takes e4, and I have a material lead, or material advantage. Castle's kingside. Castle's kingside. The computer finds these moves to be inaccurate. Probably there's more going on in this part of the chessboard, also to include both queens and white's dark squared bishop. There's probably a lot more going on here than my opponent I saw, in terms of what a computer can see and predict and so on. But I felt comfortable with a safe king, one pawn advantage, a strong knight who's very aggressively placed, the ability to play d5 in some lines, not right away, as I would get overpowered by the queen and bishop. Some a lead in development, almost no, about equal in development, but as black. So I feel black is doing fine here. Well, my opponent made a strong move, rook to e1, attacking my knight, and this might also undermine black's lead in material. So I played knight to f6. And after knight takes e5, that might not have been the best move. Let's see what could have been better here. So we're still good through here. After knight takes e5, torch 4 suggests knight takes e5. And rook takes e5, and it's white has a strong and active rook, but black seeks to play d5, not immediately, as there are 1, 2, 3 white pieces covering the d5 square. A few moves. Bishop to g4, mostly to juggle things around. We would either hereby put white's queen in front of his bishop that has yet to be developed, or a pawn must come to f3, leaving the a7 g1 diagonal open against white's king. So those are two moves that could follow. Or white might play bishop e2 and probably be fine. Black will probably exchange bishops, and a different game will result with black being a little bit worse for the wear because of doubled pawns on the c file, and having the worse side of the minor exchange, especially since now many pieces have been traded. White's dark squared bishop is stronger on on a more open board. It's not 100% open, of course, but White's bishop on c1 is stronger in an open game. Alright, so moves. Putting the question to the bishop with pawn h6. I can't let this just sit here with my knight pinned to my queen. So I push pawn h6, putting the question to the bishop. This is a phrase we use. Obviously the bishop doesn't want to get captured on g5, not in this position anyway. Does the bishop want to go back to h4 and maintain this tension? Does the bishop want to exchange on f6, releasing the tension, or some other move outside of that? It could be just about all these moves on the h6, d1, h6, c1 diagonal. And then in some versions, if there's a queen making a battery here, the bishop, White's dark squared bishop, might play bishop takes h6, pawn takes h6, but then queen takes h6, puts extreme pressure on Black's king. So it's putting the question to the bishop. The two most common options are to liquidate minor pieces on f6 or take a step back, usually along the h file. And these other options are special and more rare cases. Bishop to h4. I chose to push the bishop again. Like I said, I cannot stand for my knight just sitting here pinned for a long amount of time. I may try to unpin him with two moves by the rook like this, but White has this file, and I wasn't really all that game for queen to d6 was not the best move. My opponent wants me to play bishop to g6. I wouldn't play that. This knight, he has to be unpinned. But I'll look at that later too. Maybe there's got to be some wisdom to leave the knight pinned for a little while, or the computer wouldn't be suggesting that, wouldn't be marking g5 as a mistake. So mistakes. This was the first of a few mistakes in this game by either side. I think it was Black's only mistake, perhaps. Yeah, Black's only mistake so far. And bishop to g3, bishop g6. All right, I'll grab the open file after the e file's been vacated. We see that this is going to be a mistake, and I should be liquidating. According to Torch 4, I should be liquidating on d3, and I don't like that myself either, because then pawn takes d3, and we've repaired White's doubled pawns. Plus, let my opponent, let him, her, or they liquidate with bishop takes g6, and I recapture with pawn takes g6. Now, Black is very strong with potential doubling of major pieces on the f file. A knight that can hop into action one way or another, probably after we scooch this pawn along its way. All of a sudden, Black is on the attack. So I don't really want to instigate this trade on d3, where we're just trading equal material, but in a way that repairs White's doubled pawns. I rather thought rook to e8 was decent. Let's see, doesn't even make the top 5, so it wasn't. There's some reason why rook d8 was wrong. If the computer sees as many as 5 moves better than the move you made, then the computer's not going to consider your move to be best. But we knew that, right? We're just reviewing. This bishop cannot get his sights away from White's queen. He attacked her earlier at g4. and he now takes the second go at it by bishop to h5. The queen moves is answering the threat. I wanted to make a strong outpost for my knight. There's a minor piece capture. I probably dealt with it with rook takes e4 to keep a really strong hold over d5 and still have an active rook, out and about. Yeah, rook takes e4 is probably a little bit better. Pawn takes e4, or d takes e4 rather. D takes e4 is pretty good too. And so overall, let's take a second here. White's turn to move, and progress. The valuation bar has white almost a pawn for the better, but even though material is equal, mobility. I give white the edge on, or black the edge on this. Black has an edge in mobility. I'd say moderate, not uh, extreme. A moderate to strong edge in mobility. King safety. It's about equal. I'd say maybe white has a slight edge in king safety. Has more pieces and pawns around his king. On the other hand, black's pieces are more aggressive. But I'd say white has the advantage in king safety. In space, this is for black. Black has an advantage in space here. Yep. A slight advantage in space. And we have clock. This is a real advantage because I'm closing in. Black is closing in on the 1 minute mark, so that my opponent has 39 seconds more than I, at a minute and 43 to my minute and 4. That's a very real time advantage for white. Clock advantage. That's a very real clock advantage for white. And then initiative. Yeah, it's white's move. It is going to hinge upon whether or not white plays actively or not. It's there for white to exploit should she or they decide to do so. For instance, f takes g5, and then I think h takes g5. I don't know. It's just maybe it's a slight advantage in initiative. Slight. It's not clear that white can really use it right away, but hey, it's white's turn to move. So that's it. Overall, I disagree with Torch 4. I haven't looked at Torch 4's evaluation or why yet. It says it's about a pawn in favor of white. I'm not so sure. Yeah, in this line that Torch is given here, black's king safety crumbles. So I'll just be a little bit different and say 0.7 in favor of white. Not that it needs to be that precise. Okay, so that was our static position analysis for this game. And then pawn takes g5. Black wants to establish a presence on white's second rank while also gaining a tempo, like I say, a tempo of initiative against white's queen. Queen uses that initiative in a strong way, helping to uh, attack more strongly on the F file. But it looks like Black's just in the nick of time with H takes G5. H takes G5 just barely gets there in time that White's attack might not work right away. And then here the queen drop. So, these happen. This is a game in 3 minutes. This happens. The bishop visually was sort of in a place where he might be neglected. If, as White were really honed in on f7, then protection from h5 is less often than from f8, g8, and somewhere else, maybe like e6 in the early goings or something. So anyway, the queen drop. We'll let this play out of inertia, and why not? So then there's the checkmate. So it's a fun game to play, and I ended up winning. All right. Thank you for watching. Thank you, Gravitrons. I'm more gravity. Have a great night.